My doctor says I'm dying. Would you make me a documentary of the funeral if I gave you the direction?
Yeah. I just don't know how to do that. Do you think I could learn?
Yeah. I'll just give you the direction.
And
You just
use the camera.
Yeah. Before I die.
Yeah, I need that.
Hello? No, I'm still getting ready. I haven't picked out a dress yet. Okay. Is Scott with you? Will you ask him to grab that Kiss t-shirt for me when he's at Shayne's house? I'd really like to have it. Okay. Thanks.
God damn it. Have you seen my shoes?
What shoes?
My fancy shoes. My dress shoes.
Does it look like I'm wearing them?
Doesn't look like you're wearing shit. And actually, another thing. Why aren't you even dressed?
Dressed for what?
Dressed for Shayne's funeral. This is an important thing. We've got to be there.
We don't have to go to anything. You can go, but I'm not going. Man, fuck Shayne. He came into my home and he was all like, whatever, and I was like, Kiss is the hottest rock and roll band in the fucking world, and he didn't even agree with me, and then he's over here bragging about the Kiss t-shirt, and he didn't want to give that to me either, and he probably doesn't even like Kiss. So, man, fuck Shayne, I'm not going to that funeral.
Like I give a shit.
I was really too upset to talk at the funeral. And I was also worried because Scott said he had to stop by Shayne's house for something, and I was really afraid Scott was going to take some of Shayne's records. I think there's a Kiss t-shirt missing. I guess it doesn't really matter though, because Shayne didn't really like Kiss anyway.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole. He was mean to me.
I really miss his Jim Dandy.
If you were going to ask me all these months later if all the things that I'd said at Shayne's funeral, if they were true or how I feel about them, I'd say yeah. I mean, they are. I mean, maybe I had a couple drinks. Maybe I drank too much. I don't know. Maybe I sang a few songs. I mean, I told him I would. That was pretty much the entire point of singing that song. I did just make it up. But if you were gonna ask me, what was I serious about it? Or did I mean it? Yeah. I meant it. I'm a pretty serious guy when it really comes down to it.
he was bright, and then my room was kind of the area of the oasis in a way where misfits hung out, and he would come up there after we got to know each other a little bit and hang out with the other misfits, and we'd be playing games and stuff, and he could never concentrate long enough to really get into a game, especially if we played something complicated like D&D.
Lately, I'd been a little depressed, mostly by the economies, micro, macro. Not that he had a traditional job. No, he wouldn't do that.
Thanks, Kathleen. Kurt Vonnegut Jr. has famously said that when we're born, we see green and we hear a humming sound, but we're not there. He's also said that when we die, we see white and we hear a humming sound, and we're not there. I like to think that what happens is when we die, we just disassemble. We become part of the universe. Now, I'd like to read a poem in testimony of Shayne's death, of gonorrhea or whatever it was. And it's called Taken Away. Shayne and I did a lot of traveling in his youth and my middle age, and he liked to tell funny stories and retell them of the things that happened on our trips. One of the things that I will miss the most about his being gone is no one to retell the stories, as it were. Of course, now that Shayne is no longer in one place, traveling becomes irrelevant. I think also that he would be amused by the last line of this poem, which is a direct quote from the book of Isaiah. And the poem goes, Taken Away. He never tired of telling how on our trip to Canada, the summer of '88, striking a match to its book to light a Cuban cheroot, the whole book flared up, the sulfur of one match head sizzling into his palm. He tells how I retrieved the flaming book from the floor of my truck, saying, as I tossed it into his open hand, "You dropped this." He had just turned around from the truck's sliding back window, where he pried a chunk of ice from the cooler, his pained voice resounding in the truck cab like a gunshot in a tin can. I said, as he reached back into the cooler, "Hey, while you're out there, get me a Perrier." But what I actually mumbled was, "Lo, thine iniquity is taken away."
I don't know. Our friendship was definitely contentious. I mean, we had a lot of things that we shared and both loved, like, early 70s American cinema, West African funk. But Shayne had this real biting side to him that a lot of people didn't always see. He could be really stingy. There was a particular Funkadelic record that I always wanted from his collection. He had multiple copies of, and he never gave it to me. I'm not sure why. But he did give me this Kiss t-shirt shortly before he died, which makes up for it and means a lot to me.
You never really feel fully prepared for this type of situation, and especially such a tragic accident. I knew Shayne for 12 years, and we were very close friends. As close as you can be, I guess, when you're sitting in a room staring at a set of speakers and hardly talking with each other. We spent a lot of times listening to records and Occasionally in between songs, Shayne would look at me and he would say, "Space is the place. Space is the place." Just famous for a Sun Ra recording that we both greatly admired. And Shayne took me, really introduced me to a lot of different music. He turned me on to Steely Dan, and we used to listen to Warren Zevon together. Every time I hear the Flying Burrito Brothers and I hear Graham Parsons sing, I'll always think of Shayne. He also turned me on to Townes Van Zandt. And I remember as I was being turned on to all this amazing music, there was a day when he said, "I can see the path that you've chosen, and it's going to be very difficult for you to communicate with people." He was right about that. I don't necessarily believe in an afterlife, and I know Shayne didn't either, but I like to think of him in some otherworldly bar, drinking with his heroes, Sam Peckinpah, Nina Simone. And at least in that world, Shayne would be happy.
Shayne, sorry I was late. You were a great man. Off to the blackboard!
Then he got rich, or his estate got rich. Fucker still owes me money, though.
You know, I didn't know him really well. I lived out of town. You know, I had school, I had work, yada, yada, yada.
You know, not long before he died, Shayne told me one day, "We're pretty close for two people who don't really like each other." In light of that, you might think that I would have taken some little pleasure in the way he died, the shoestring around his neck and the nakedness. And at first I was sad, and I was surprised. But then I stopped being sad and I stopped being surprised, because I knew that, like all great artists, Shayne was just looking for that next big thing, to get up on that astral plane, some sort of transcendence or enlightenment. I don't know. But I hope I see him on the other side one day.
Shayne had the idea for this film while he was still alive. It was supposed to be an ironic spoof, but death didn't get the joke. And we thought Shayne would have wanted us to get it done, even though the joke's on us now, and it's a documentary and a tribute. I can tell by your reactions you still think he might be putting one over on us. I wish, but never more. I met Shayne 20 years ago, but spent the most time with him the last 10. I saw his greatest films in development. I even read for a part in The Comic Book Lady, but was so wretched, Shayne axed the entire character. He was nice about it, though. At least he won't have to watch this performance. You're welcome, man. Shayne seemed to be more than one man most of the time. Sometimes he was an old man in a young man's body. He seemed so world-weary. Other times he was a kid in a grown-up's body, trying new things and learning his lessons every day. Anyhow, that body didn't last, not long enough for the soul to answer its true calling. I told him not to drink that Congo River water. He was hard-headed and generous, sometimes at the same moment. And if you took him wrong one day and sweated it, well, the next time you met him, he'd brought you some CD he'd burned of some old movie. Even if you didn't, he remembered you'd said you'd wanted to see it again. Some build monuments of stone, others tell stories, trying to make our lives last longer, feel better. Shayne, I'm betting you've already finagled a used camera from some poor soul in the afterlife, and you're probably shooting all the best angles right now. Man, keep it rolling. And now, Mike's going to sing Shayne and us a song.
I wish I had something as eloquent as Art had to say, but I'm not even really sure how I should even start. I've known Shayne for a long time, actually. He knew when I was a kid and I was first starting to grow into early manhood. He was there with me to support some of the first pornographies I ever made. He was there to help me take care of a good friend, and he also helped me tend to the widow once he was gone. But ever since he's withered away, I've just realized that I should live up to this one final promise I made to him. I'd promised I would sing this song when he was gone. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, must go and I must bide. But come ye back when springtime's in the meadow, or the fields are hushed and white with snow. I'll still be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, we love you so.
Many of you I've never met before today, but I feel as though everyone here is already sort of a family, because we were all lucky enough to have known a great man, and we're here to remember that man today, a man whose life was cut very short by scurvy or whatever it was. Having known Shayne for about a decade, I can only say he was too hard to pin down in just a few words. I could be here all night talking about, who he was or what he was to me or who he was to thousands of people. To me, he was a friend, an artist, and a musician, a humanitarian. He gave so much and asked for nothing in return. He loved children, but he refused to have any until the day that there were no orphans left to be adopted. He wouldn't even kill a bug. He believed that all life was precious. But at the same time, he escorted women to have abortions, because even though he didn't believe in it himself, he did believe in their right to choose as women. He gave out food to the homeless. He helped build houses for underprivileged children. He even taught a youth basketball team for 4 years And even though the children never won any awards, he always told me that he had an award every time he saw one of those kids smile. And one thing I know for certain, this world is worse for not having Shayne in it.
He had a lot of luck, both good and bad. He had a lot of good things happen, and a lot of bad things happen. I guess in a way, not the least of which is that bizarre mystery of his death, that no one can pin down.
I always believed the rumors about the African flatboat ride and drinking the wrong water. That's what I thought.
Well, that would do it.
Actually, I might have made up a lot of that. I'm not diagnosed compulsive liar, but I think it's probably in my blood or something. And all those people were getting up there and they were saying such nice things about him, and they seemed to know him really well, and I just wanted to be a part of that, so I might have little white lies slip. I've eaten saws.
Well, thanks for coming, everyone. I'm pretty sure Shayne would be happy to see his friends and see who showed up, and especially considering the uncertainty at the end of what we'd be.
I've had about enough of all this. Get on that shit. I'm praying for rain in California, so the grapes can grow and make more wine. And I'm sitting in a honky in Chicago with a broken heart and a woman on my mind. I asked the man behind the bar for the jukebox, and the music takes me back to Tennessee. And they ask, who's the fool in the corner crying? I said, little old wine drinker me. And I came up last week from down in Nashville, 'cause my baby left for Florida on a train. And I'm sitting in a honky in Chicago again, drinking wine and going half insane. I asked the man behind the bar for the jukebox, and the music takes me back to Tennessee. And they ask, who's that fool in the corner crying? I said, little old wine drinker me. I said, little old wine drinker me. I think this is the way he'd have wanted it. I'm done. I've been thinking actually more about what I was saying. Shayne actually, he probably wouldn't have even liked that song. I mean, he acted like he would have liked it, but I don't think he would have. I mean, he doesn't like half the other stuff I do. I mean, it's like no matter what you do, you just can't ever win. You're not very smart at it, and really, he'd have probably done something better with it anyway. Shut that cat up! Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, I guess fuck Shayne. That's what I meant to say.
Old Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers dying. It's you, it's